Warning: the stories you are about to hear are real and unscripted. Names have been changed to protect the identities of those involved. Viewer discretion is advised.
It was early December 2011 when this happened. I remember my son had been begging me to get him a 3DS for Christmas this year. Where I'm from, they were pretty popular, and being the holiday season, they were becoming very hard to find. I wouldn't even care if I found one for a good deal or not, so long as my son was happy. I decided to look on eBay and see what they had to offer. After a little bit of searching, I found an auction for a red 3DS, which was his favorite color. And what was even better was that the seller was close to the area that I'm from, so if I won the 3DS, I'd get it right away. I ended up placing a bid on it and grabbed a cup of coffee to stay up while I wait for the auction to come to an end. At the last minute, I quickly countered with $10 more just to be safe, and I won. Although, I somewhat regret winning from the seller now. I paid right away, and by morning I had received the following message from the seller saying thank you for the purchase. I'd love to ship you the 3DS right away, but unfortunately due to unforeseen seller fees and taxes from eBay, it'd be a little difficult to do this at the moment, so I notice you aren't very far, and if it's agreeable to you, I can easily meet you and just give you the 3DS in person, plus, it would also save me the shipping fee. I didn't think much of it, and he sounded like a nice guy, so I agreed to meet him in person, so long as it was in public and he met me at my location. He agreed, and tomorrow afternoon, we planned to meet outside a GameStop inside my local mall. We also ended up exchanging numbers, and tomorrow, I get a phone call from him. We'll call him Lucas. Hello? Hello, is this Joseph? Yes, it is. I assume this is Lucas, correct? Yes, just confirming we're still good for 2 p.m. at GameStop? I ended up saying yes, but to this day, I'm still cautious of all my eBay purchases now. Yes, 2 p.m. is still a go. Alright, see you then. Thank you, bye now. So 1:30 p.m. is here, and I send Lucas a text saying no rush but I'm here at the mall now. I'll be waiting outside the store sitting on a chair, wearing a red shirt with blue jeans and a black hat. He responds with, alright, thank you, I'll be there shortly. I get approached by a man who appears to be in his late 20s or early 30s, but what they say is true, never judge a book by its cover. Hello, are you Joseph? Yes, thank you for doing this, it means a lot to me and my son is going to be really happy this year. Oh, you're welcome, it was no trouble at all. Well, here's the console itself. Still new, just like the auction said. Alright, thanks. Do you by any chance know of any good games for this? You know, I just bought this thing and it was my only one since I never used it, so I wouldn't know firsthand. I heard that Super Mario 3D Land is supposed to be a good game. Okay, thanks. We shook hands and that was it. Or so I thought. I went inside GameStop to buy a copy of the game that Lucas had mentioned, and while I was paying for it, I noticed he was still outside the store. Now, I didn't think it was too strange because he had his phone held to his ear, but he didn't say a word while I saw him. I bought the game and left the store. I went out the way I came in and felt like I was being followed, but I didn't want to look back and make it obvious, so instead, I pulled out my phone and started lifting it in all directions as if I couldn't get a signal. Sure enough, I saw him behind me, which I found strange because he came in through the opposite way. I started walking a bit faster, and when I exited the mall, he had stopped and watched as I got in my car. I didn't know what his intention was, if anything, until next week this happens. I'm waking up and getting ready for work when I hear my car alarm go off. I go outside and turn it off only to find a note on my windshield. I didn't know who it was from at the time, but it read, "It's the holiday season. Everyone deserves to be happy, even me. And you're going to give me that happiness that I want." I tell my wife to take our son to school and for her to stay out of the house until I call the cops and deal with the situation. I explain to the cop on the other line what's going on and he tells me to remain calm and he'll send someone over right away. Thankfully, nothing else happens during the time it takes for the cop to show up. I re-explain to the officer what happened and he checks for fingerprints and takes the note as evidence. I get a phone call later on. At first, all I hear is static. But whoever it was says, "I hope you won't be doing anything tonight. I already made plans to come see you, so don't cancel on me." Then the call ends before I could say anything at all. I call the police again, but they tell me they can't really do anything since it was only a phone call and no actual threat was made. With that being the case, I was just being cautious. Nighttime came and nothing happened. I shook the call off as just a prank and went to bed. At about 2 a.m., I hear some glass break from downstairs. I wake up my wife and tell her to grab her phone and go with our son, be ready to call the police just in case. I go downstairs with a belt in my hand since we don't have guns in this house, and as I'm making my way downstairs, I hear footsteps. I turn on my flashlight, only to see a shadow run into the kitchen. As scary as this was, I couldn't let whoever broke into my house get away, so I quickly pursued after him. He jumped out immediately, and I punched him in the face and knocked him to the ground. It was Lucas. I could see him pulling out a gun he had hidden in his pocket. I didn't have time to come up with a strategy, so I kicked him hard in the face while he was still on the ground, and then went straight to grabbing the gun from out of his hand and using it against him. My wife heard all the commotion and had called the police. When the police arrived, Lucas told the officers he broke into the house to leave gifts, but no gifts were ever found on his person or in his car. He said his motivation was that he wanted friends, and he would have gladly bought another 3DS for himself and yes, even me, so we could all play online together. I wouldn't have let my son or myself anywhere near that psycho anyways. His last words were, "Don't worry, soon I'll be set free, and we can have lots more fun together, Joseph." It made me cringe. I made sure to press charges to the fullest extent of the law, and get a restraining order done if possible. It was later found out that he got my address from when I won the auction on eBay. I still can't believe people out there are this crazy. I chose eBay over Craigslist to avoid this kind of situation, but it turns out you'll never be 100% safe no matter what you use. I'm now cautious whenever I use eBay, and I hope I never have to deal with seeing Lucas, or anyone that psychotic for that matter, ever again.